Hello, everyone, and welcome by the Global Leader Podcast. In this new episode, we have a very special guest. She's from the United States of America. She's the queen of all intuitive masterclass coaching. She knows how to teach you to work smarter, not harder. Because isn't that what we all need? Living smarter and not harder. Let me welcome you, Felicia.
Hello, hi Donique. Hello,
Thank
how are
you
you?
so much
Thank
for
you.
being on my show.
Yes, I
Tell
look
me
forward to
more about
connecting with
yourself.
you. Yeah, so if I were to wrap it all up, I was a former imposter turned all intuitive life coach and webcaster. And so what I mean by that is that I was very much impacted by imposter syndrome growing up. Didn't know what that was when I was young. But basically, I felt as though I had to be twice as good to succeed at life. I had to be
Oh,
perfect on my A game
yeah.
all the time. And so, to some degree, that gave me success. But with that came challenges and expectations that I didn't take the time to enjoy those successes. I felt as though I always had to be a human doing versus a human being. And then eventually I kind of hit this wall, and it became, got a message that said, you've heard the phrase work smarter, not harder. I was very much familiar with that. But instead I got a message that said, Felicia, you can live smart. And so that started me on my transformation journey in order to see myself and awaken, master my emotions, ask, believe, and receive, relax, relate, and release, and talk wisely and ascend.
Wow. Wow. This is touching my heart what you have been through because you need to fight for just who you are and your successes because that needs to be celebrated, right?
But I disregarded it. It was like that was what's to be expected. I mean, when you grow up, like I said, I grew up with the whole belief like you always got to have A's. If I had all A's and one B, the fam was kind of like, so what's up with the B? And so,
Mm.
yes, that drove me to, okay, I'm gonna do better. But at the same time, once you get to that point to where you're not able to manage it all and you do not feel like you are succeeding, it's
Mm.
like, AKA burnout, stress, quit, self-sabotage, all those different things. And that's what I basically kind of, came to in my life. And so it's like, all right, it's not always about the work, but it's about my life. And
Yeah.
how do I live? Who is Felicia? And that's what created this whole concept of, like I said, what I live smart. Now, because it's like, yeah, I can work smart. I know I could do that with ease, but I need to learn how to live smart.
Yeah. And what steps did you take to get to that point?
Yeah. So Live Start started with the S stands for see yourself and awaken. So I had to learn more about who is Felicia.
Yeah.
So there used to be this trigger. I'm sure your audience has probably heard of the whole phrase like bye Felicia. And that was a trigger because if anyone's ever seen the movie Friday, it really started from Felicia was this character that was a drug addict. And when she would come around and they wanted her to be, gone, it was by Felicia. They wanted to dismiss her. And I didn't want anybody talking about I was, a crackhead or, dismissing me. And so I was irritated by that.
Yeah.
So it started with just even simply looking up what my name meant. My name means happy. So I
Uh-huh.
started to flip that. So instead
Yeah.
of it's just like, bye Felicia, they're just simply saying bye happy.
Yeah.
And or I would say where they're just saying bye to their happiness, whichever one that is the case to me, but it's not my business. But it went on that journey to figure out, okay, what does your name mean? Studying my astrological signs and
Okay.
my enneagrams
Yeah.
and Myers-Briggs, like learning more about who I am and my character values. So I had to awaken to who I am in that part.
Wow.
As I was on that journey of learning more about who Felicia is, one of the things I realized I had to master my emotions. And master my emotions meant I always used to squash them down. I came from a military background, and so it was always about the goal.
Okay.
We
Yeah.
don't have time. We got to get the flag up on the hill. We got to make it happen.
Yeah.
Whatever you're going through right now, put that to the side.
Yeah.
But then I realized I was not adding, you know, myself into the situation. I had to ask myself, are you angry, frustrated, irritated, bored? Like, what are you? I had to learn vocabulary, emotional words. And as a Black woman, one of the things that I would squash was, anger and frustration, because I didn't want to be categorized as the angry Black woman, right? So you didn't even get that too often. So I had to learn that, speak into what is it that you're feeling and address that and be okay with that. Then that took me to the A, which is the ask, believe, and receive. It's pretty much connected to the whole law of attraction. It's like, well, Felicia, what is it that you want in life? If you ask somebody today, what is it that they want? Listen to their response. A lot of times you will get what they don't want. Well, I'm not really sure what I want. I know I don't want this and I don't want to do that. Okay. So, but you're focusing on what you don't want. So, which usually means you're going to get more of that. But then after you get them to that point, it's like, do you really believe that you can get the things that you ask for? And a lot of times it's no. So I had to figure that part out in order to ask what I want, believe that I can receive it. So I'm not blocking my blessings and the energy vibes and stuff that's supposed to come to me. So in order to do that, I had to learn to relax, relate, and release. I'm very good at working. I enjoy working. I'm good at it. Yeah. But I also had to learn how to just simply relax. And that included everything from meditation and learning more about just being able to breathe and tap into my body energy and working out and doing all those different things. And I even had to learn, connect it back to the emotions on how to release some things. So one of my favorite ones, of course, is Ho'oponopono. Yeah. Having lived in Hawaii, like I still have that whole spirit about that, whereas, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, in order to reconcile back to some things that's no longer serving me. I had to be able to let that go. And then ultimately, I had to learn how to talk wisely and ascend. So talk wisely which is a big piece about imposter syndrome, about what were the things I was saying to myself, just even in my head. Yeah. And it's connected to the whole school of Yoda. What is the vocabulary words? I'm trying. Like Yoda said in the movie, do or do not. There is no try. If you literally look up the word try in the Google it, it says difficult or hard to endure. So if you put that to, I'm trying to lose weight, I'm trying to go back to school, I'm trying to start a business, you're already speaking struggle to that. So I had to learn how to use different vocabulary for the things that I wanted to ask, believe, and receive and learn about myself. So it was all connected. So Live Smart just became this acronym of, if something is going on in my life, I'm experiencing something, like, are you living smart? And then that immediately would kind of connect me to one of those tips. And so that's how I've just kind of lived my life and just the transformation journey from there.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Wow. And how long did it took you? How many years from that point to now? How many years?
So from where I remember as I say, I had my taking the hands off the wheel Jesus moment. It's probably been about 4 years now. To where I was doing those steps, but it wasn't until after I became a coach and I can come up with all these different things. It's like, well, what were you doing? Yeah. And I was like, well, these are the things that I did. And then for people to remember them, it was just like, yeah, just live smart. Because again, it was still connected to who I was, because I enjoyed working. A lot of times people are familiar with SMART goals. So I was very much familiar with that. But then also it was connected to my expectation always as a youth that you were the smart one. And so it's just a kind of play on all that. Just live smart, Felicia. That's all you gotta do. Just live smart. Wow. And how did you change everything you learned into a coaching program? Because I saw that you have a company right now, intuitive coaching. Can you tell me more about how you started the company? Yeah, so when I did it, it really wasn't a program. Like I may have called it that, but really it was a lifestyle. That was how I was living. And so I've played with it and, do all those different things. And it was just like, but it's not really so much a program as it is. Somebody just asked me, Felicia, how did you do it? How did you go from being, here, just frustrated and just ready to, quit, to where you're at now? And it was like, ultimately, I just live smart. And that's just a efficient, concise way that I can explain the steps that I did in order to get to this today part. And so with Sevenfold Coaching, my business, it's really now me living that lifestyle. I would connect it to where people might be familiar with terms like light worker or wayshore. And so basically it's just a matter, if I'm just living my life, I can help people and encourage them to be able to ascend in their own work life. And so it plays out with me having my own show as well, to where I ask intuitive questions and I channel spiritual feedback that helps people to kind of start their own live smart journey. Like, what is it that you need to start thinking about? Get out of the way so you can keep on ascending.
Wow. And where can they find you? Can you tell me more about where they can find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me on YouTube. So that's where all of my past shows are on that. And then I do the show live on Tuesdays on LinkedIn because I do very much want to bring this whole spirituality and work-life blend to that platform. So you can find me there. And then, of course, my website is Sevenfold Coaching. And so when you go there, you can find the information for both of those. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thanks. And about leadership, because for me, you are a thought leader because you started your life with so much, how can I say it, with so much bad energies, and now you are at the point where you're now. So for me, you're a really tough leader. But how is it for you? Do you feel that you are a thought leader, or?
It's interesting you asked that, because there was a time I had got a whole book, and that it was a very much a a trend to be a thought leader. And I was like, oh, I want to do that, and how do you become it? And the thing is that I didn't have to study it in order to become it. It really does go back to just living my life as this individual, and in a way that makes it to become a thought leader. So I do those things, and probably if you look at the definition, that's a thought leader, but that wasn't the original intent. It was just really me just living my life. And if somebody puts that label on it, it's like, okay, yeah. That's how you connect in alignment with that. But it just kind of worked out. I didn't have to work at it. Just had to live my life and share what my experiences have been. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And tell us a moment in your life when you wanted something so badly. How did you achieve it? Can you tell me the steps? How did you achieve it? It can be material things, can be spiritual, can be anything. So badly.
So it goes back to my life, because there was this day that I was driving down the road, and I wanted so badly to be an excellent wife, a mom, business person. I grew up in the Christian faith, and one of the things they talk about is the Proverbs 31 woman. And I really did not understand there's all these expectations of what she can do. She's beautiful. She gets up early, and her husband calls her blessed. Her kids calls her blessed. She sells real estate. Like, she has all these things that she did. And yeah, it was like, I felt like I was failing because I wasn't doing those things. And so I wanted to achieve that so bad. And that was where my moment was. It was like, I don't understand how to do this. And so that's when Emmanuel, aka God, came to me, and there was a scripture all of a sudden that appeared on, because I get signs and messages that appeared that said, do not be dismayed. I'm your right hand present help. Isaiah 41:10. And I said, like, wow, you heard me. And then that's when I went on to the whole Live Smart journey in order to become this Proverbs 31 woman, which is what I wanted so badly. But for those that are listening, and if they've ever had that struggle as well of thinking they have those high level expectations of meeting that, read the one part of the verse, the scripture that says, she took care of her servants, or aka maidens, depending on which version you have, which meant the woman didn't do it by herself. She had help.
Wow. Wow.
But the assumption was I had to do it all on my own.
Yeah.
But that was the thing that I wanted so badly, was to be that woman, to be that success, and then do it with ease and flow. And I just had to figure out what that meant for me as a woman. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And what is something you really want to achieve for someone else?
So that would be what I'm doing now, of just encouraging people to live smart and ascend to new levels of success in their work life. And because it's so freeing when you just simply ask these questions and you get people to have these moments of awe, to where they meet respect and amazement, and yet there's still some like sense of fear as well. Being able to meet them where they're at, help them to connect, share space, energy with them, so they can remove that in order so they can continue on with their life.
Nice, beautiful. And of course, I always want to end this podcast with some takeaways. What would you like to share about creating an impact for others that matters? Can you share some takeaways? What is helping you a lot?
Yeah, I already shared it. It's no different. Another, I encourage you to live smart and ascend to new levels of success in your work life. That's it.
Okay, cool.
See yourself and awaken. Master your emotions. Ask, believe, and receive. Relax, relate, release, and talk wisely and ascend.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And the Ho'oponopono? Ho'oponopono.
Ho'oponopono? Yes. Ho'oponopono. Yes.
Yes. Cool. My mom told me a few weeks about it, and now I use it also.
Yes. See?
Cool.
Yes. It's simple, it's easy. It's kind of like you can go to this whole chant thing, but it's a beautiful practice in order to reconcile back to the high vibe, high energy, so we can continue to ascend the energy.
I use it when I have a negative thought about something. Then I use the Ho'oponopono.
Yes, you got it.
It helps me.
Exactly. So encourage your viewing audience and listening audience too. If you've never heard about that, check that out. It's a beautiful meditation and practice that encourage you to reconcile and stay in the high vibe energy.
And can you share me your YouTube again, so I can put it in the description box? Can you share it with me? Okay.
Yes, definitely. I will do that for sure.
Okay, perfect.
For those that are listening, if you just do a search for Felicia, Felicia Miller Johnson, AWE, intuitive conversation. I should pop up in your search engine as well. But yes, I will definitely share that link with you.
Thank you so much for this interview. My heart feels so soft at the moment. So yeah, that's a great sign. So thank you so much. And I would love to see you again somehow. So thank you.
Indeed. Thank you. Until we meet again. Aloha.